That's right. Ah, sorry about that. Hey, goodness. Yeah, this shit happens. Sorry about that. It does happen every once in a while, some little mishaps with my technique. Apologies for that. Apologies for that. Let me just make sure that I can hear myself on the other side. And then I will start over and tell you what I was telling you earlier. Here we go. Yes, I can hear myself. Okay, good. All right, cool. Sorry, rough back. I'm sorry about that. You were right. The sound is not coming out, and it is my fault. It was just a little setting thing that I just had to switch. So, starting over. Basically, what I was saying is, first of all, welcome to Monday Quality Talks. This is your weekly rendezvous every Mondays. I started a little later than usual because I went to Lisbon as this web summit starting tomorrow, and I went to get like my accreditations and whatever, all these things that will allow me to, attend, some of the conferences and talks, etc., keynotes, etc. And yeah, so time for me to get home, you know, get ready to do the show and jump on. And now we just lost 9 minutes of me. Well, 7 minutes of me talking, thinking you guys were hearing me, but no luck. And now what is going on again? Oh gosh. If this is not crazy, then I don't know what it is. What's going on today? Oh God, 1 second. Give me a second, guys. Oh, here we go. The phone literally decided to die on me today. Oh, this is incredible. Incredible. But anyways, it happens. And it shouldn't happen, but it does happen. So what can we do? All right, it's all good. We're here. These are as we say in French, les aléas du live. Things that do happen during a live show. So we start over. Well, I'll continue as I was saying. Now with the image and the sound. And so, as I was getting ready, I was thinking about, the topics I was going to talk on, obviously, and, tell you guys a little bit about the Web Summit thingy, which I'll try to document as much as possible and obviously share some images here on YouTube, etc. I'm gonna be checking it out together with Keisha. We're actually gonna be checking it out together since we have a lot of similar interests in a lot of the things that are going to be presented during this summit. So yeah, it should be a good vibe, should be a good experience. And so yeah, with that said, as I was saying, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that just yet. Press the like button, very important. Gets us up in this whole ranking thingy, and then obviously come through with the comments. This is not a monotonous and self-centered conversation. Obviously, we're here to share together. So if you want to jump in the comments, feel free to do that. And if you don't feel like it, that's okay. I can talk for hours. I do have indeed a lot to talk about anyways. So yeah. And a lot has happened. A lot has happened. And I want to, yeah. I want to touch on a few things, but Lorraine, comment ça va? Greetings to all the Bodhiists. Thank you very much for joining in. This week has been indeed interesting in so many ways. I mean, last week was, and this past couple of weeks have been. Wow, Kanye West, man. Everybody's talking about him. Everybody's posting about the guy. And rightfully so. I mean, it's just crazy, man. It's just crazy. I mean, look, I don't have a structured thought process about the man because he's hard to it's hard to hate this guy, but at the same time, he's indeed saying the most dumbest things ever. DP et OSPS, hello indeed. Welcome. Bonsoir à toutes et tous. Soyez les bienvenus. Well, it's nighttime here on my side, so wherever you are located in the world, might be the morning or afternoon or early evening, but yeah. Man, this guy is just, I don't know, man. Yesterday I was on Keisha's Club Shatter here on YouTube, and we were talking about that, and it's just, God, what do you guys think? I mean, obviously, I'm not talking about like the comments that he has made, because they're just, first of all, the anti-Semitic things that he's dropped, and also the comments that he's formulated towards, George Floyd's real truth behind his death and stuff like that. That was extremely dumb, and that's what it is. It's dumb, because fundamentally, I don't think the man is anti-Semitic. I mean, he said some dumb shit like, you would expect somebody like him who's been known for saying things that are very much outrageous, and I think he just speaks whatever, he spews whatever comes to his brain. But yeah, unfortunately, at that level, with that kind of influence, with that kind of voice, and being that there's so many people that don't necessarily have a capacity to, look at things from a perspective and just literally take in everything that you drop, it indeed has a resonance that is very negative, very negative, and as it should be. But yeah, the guy is just, there's the thing, and why I'm talking about this is because the true topic of this conversation is really all about this idea that we have about the capacity we have, or the freedom we have to speak whatever we want to speak about, and the truth that we all say we speak of. And I really wonder sometimes if we are really that free. Not saying that you should be free to slander people and to be racist and this and that and the other, but I think that yes, if you are indeed, just like now Elon Musk just bought Twitter, right? And you see everybody is like, oh my God, Elon is this, Elon is that, the devil, Hitler, this. But it's like, dude, like, unfortunately, the world we live in is not just a world of good thinking people. People are all balanced and all this, all that. There's going to be extremes on all sides of the pond. And I'm not saying that you should highlight them, but everybody needs a place to speak. Now, you can want somebody to censor the platform, this and that, but all these things are very dangerous, because you open now way for so many things to happen and to become very uncontrollable. DP OSPS, the guy has serious mental illness, and unfortunately we are not focusing on that, but all the crazy stuff he says. Yeah, I think definitely. I mean, I'm not a specialist. I don't know. I mean, I can definitely recognize that there is absolute imbalance in his chemistry on so many aspects. But at the same time, I don't know, man. I don't know, because nowadays, and in this case, yes, I mean, definitely there's a serious part of mental illness. But I think that it's also very easy, and that's a point he's making, And I'm stepping out now of the consideration of all the things that he said about Jews and black people in general, the community, etc. Like, this is, I'm not referring, I'm coming out of that conversation, acknowledging the fact that this is it's beyond bullshit. Like, come on, you can't be that dumb, and not because you're not supposed to speak about it. You can speak about whatever you want, but you don't have to insult people, you don't have to threaten people neither. And on top of that, you don't have to sound like a fucking moron, when you actually have been heard by one or two or three or 10 or five or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, don't discriminate all of a sudden and say that everybody's this way. You know, that's a display of lack of intelligence. Rivera RV, good to see you, brother. There is some truth. It should have phrased his frustration in a different way. There's always going to be some truth, you know. And this is where the conversation is. It's like, is it okay to speak your truth, you know? Absolutely, not only unnecessary but absolutely false. You know, I agree with you, Rivera. I agree with you. Extremely silly, and you know, that's the thing. It's like, okay, cool. You know, now let's look at, for example, as I was saying earlier, you know, Twitter being bought by, you know, Elon Musk, and everybody has something to say about him and his this is that. Okay, look, it is easy to depict you as the boogeyman because you're doing this, or you're rich, you're powerful. You look, at the end of the day, things are not that simple. You know, we also have to understand something. Like, it is very easy to depict somebody as being black and white, but it's not. It's not true. Nobody is. I mean, even those, because I can guarantee you, and if you really are willing to go outside of what you hear and what is being told you through the media and through all these things that you're watching, and you sit down with somebody that actually is a so-called this, that, and the other, right? Whatever you make that to be in your brain and in your own bias or in your own interpretation of what I'm saying. And if you sit down, taking away all your contempt and your attitude of like, well, I would never sit down with a person that votes, for example, for the extreme right. Cool. Yes, you don't have to. Thing is, you won't understand exactly, and maybe you don't want to, and maybe you don't need to, because you consider that everybody should be a certain way and not another. Thing is, nobody's going to be the way you want them to be. And the world cannot be a linear thing. It never will be. You have to allow, you know, again, differences to exist, and some of them, yes, they have to be controlled. And by controlled, I would say the justice needs to be taken care of that, you know. But a platform should actually allow people to let those who are on this platform express themselves. And the moment something outrageous is being done, then the justice should be reached out to, and let a judge and a court take the steps that are needed in order for that specific individual to be, you know, addressed and taken care of, you know. But like, for example, you see people over just sometimes, you know, a bunch of trolls, you know, flagging their YouTube page and stuff like that, losing entire contents. We're talking about like tens of thousands of hours of content that they've worked so many years to create and make a living of, and because of one video that somebody didn't like, and you know, decided to flag or this and that and the other, and you can't even dispute it, because you know, you might get one flag to one. What did they say? I think you have like one, or there's like three steps. But some of these how do you call this? Some of these takedowns are completely arbitrary. They don't even flag anything. They just literally take your whole channel down. You know, and you know, I was just referring to Keisha earlier, but this has happened to him, you know, earlier this year. I don't know if it was this year or last year, I can't remember, but yeah, some people, it was last year, some people had literally spammed this page with what they do is that, so those trolls, what they do, they come and they'll comment, but then they'll change their profile picture with some porn, or they add links or whatnot. Or if, for example, if you have like an open conversation and you give the link to people to access the conversation so they can jump in, sometimes you let them in and they might be naked, they might be showing porn, and just for that, you know, if they flag your video saying that it's broadcasting porn or showcasing porn or whatnot, your whole channel is taken down. But it's completely arbitrary, because it's not none of your doing. it is the consequence of somebody maliciously, not, first of all, not happy with whatever it is that you're saying, and because they don't want you to be heard. You cannot be heard. Fuck you. We need to shut you down. And that's what they do. But truth of the matter is that because of this situation, because of the fact that there is this whole cancel thing on all aspects, on all borders, as a matter of fact, everybody's trying to cancel each other. It's a dangerous thing, bro, because you then impeach people to have. People who are intelligent enough to have intelligent conversations, constructive conversations, to speak and to, draw, a certain level of information and elevation that may allow them to even change their perspective on the conversation, even though they probably were looking at it from a very, obtuse and very guarded approach. They may open up. It's all about allowing the conversation to take place. But the moment you refuse that conversation to happen because it is dangerous, it is this, then what it is you're doing is literally just not allowing freedom of speech to take place. And again, freedom of speech doesn't mean that it needs to be freedom for dumb shit neither. But maybe some of that also has to take place so that we can all acknowledge who is doing what, and then see, okay, well, these kind of people I don't want to be with, or you know what I mean? I'd rather see who I'm dealing with for who they are. Yeah, Rivera, you're right. 250 mil is a lot of money. But it's okay. I mean, a guy like what are you talking about exactly? Because I'm not sure if because he lost. If we're talking about Kanye, he lost. I think he lost $2 billion. So define more what you mean by that. Or what it is that you're referring to. But yeah, going back to the freedom of speech, and I think that eventually, this whole thing of canceling people because of what they say and how they say it, and because it doesn't please one, or few people, that's an error as well. You really have to allow people to express themselves. And yes, some of it, is extremely dumb. And either you're well armed to be able to defend your point and actually make your point and to get your point across with an articulation and elaboration of your speech that is such that, yeah, you cannot be shut down easily because you speak facts and you're building a conversation based on, an actual experience you have with the opposite camp, I would say, in a manner and under the guise of respect of one another. I may despise what it is that you're about and what it is that you're pushing, but I will indeed fight you in the realm of words and defend not only by point, but show you that, on this and this aspect, even though I may not change your mind, and I'm not trying to change your mind, but I'm trying to call your attention upon where the bias is now. Whether you want to see it or not is another thing. And whether you want to accept that, well, this is your bias and you accept to live in it, cool, but let's acknowledge it. Oh, yeah. Okay, I get it. I get what you're saying. Yeah, the court action from the Floyd family. Yeah, man. And this is the US. You can't just say anything and everything like that. Come on, I mean, the guy had the audacity to say on Drink Champs that, he could say the most anti-Semitic thing and Adidas would not be able to drop his ass. I mean, my man, how dumb are you, man, to say something like that? And you are so-called one of the richest men in the game, which you're not. I don't think you are, but anyways, maybe you are. Let's say you are. It doesn't justify anything that you're saying because there's nothing to be proud of in anything that you just said right then and there. And it's so unfortunate that, so many people enable and allow people to just say things like that without pushing back and saying, no, he can't say that shit. That's first of all, it's offensive. Secondly, it's dumb and educated, and then you're trying to justify it by saying, well, black people are Semites, this and that. First of all, man, you're mixing too many things. It is clear that you've been given information from some of the brothers that are into this whole interpretation of and which is indeed historically there's a lot of things that traces back to the falashas, etc. I mean, you can go, man, centuries back, and rightfully so. But you're not an historian. You're not a Pan-Africanist. You're not an anthropologist. You don't have that knowledge. You don't have the lingo to be able to defend these kind of theses. So you may touch on the subject, but don't try to put and the things that he was dropping, so many concepts, we are these, and that, and then you bring back Jesus in the conversation, and that was again referring back to this whole drink champ conversation. But then I liked Emre, comment vas-tu? Merci beaucoup. What do you do? But I like the Lex. What's the name of that other guy? Lex. I forgot. That conversation. Lex Friedman. Yes, that conversation he had with Kanye was respect to the guy, because I mean you could definitely tell that Kanye was getting on his last nerve, but he was able to really handle Kanye in such a manner with elegance and really kept it together all the way through. And I think that this is one of the best conversation that I've seen, and not only because the man is Jewish, he respects Kanye, so you clearly see that he's one of his musical heroes that he has a respect for, that also has disappointed him greatly and hurt his feelings, rightfully so. I mean, you would feel hurt if anybody had put in perspective, the genocide in Rwanda, or that your ancestors have suffered slavery. Like, you'll be like, and people, come on, let's not be dumb. Let's not, this is the thing. Don't play with people's emotions like that, especially if it is to resolve a personal problem that you have with a business-related matter that needs to be handled within the business-related and that needs to be resolved within the business realm of things, right? So yeah, man. And so that conversation, I think, was interesting. You could see that he just drops. Now, I don't know if you know people like that, but people who just drop shit because they know, they think they know so much that they just keep dropping stuff at you. Like, they drop so many information. It's just like, bro, do you even hear yourself? Do you even understand what it is you're saying? And I understand, some people are confrontational. Even though they know they're wrong, and they know they've been proven to be wrong, and on top of that, everything that you've said with so much assurance and confidence, you've been proven that you are nothing. The moment these people decide to call one another and say, look, we're cutting ties with you, we're going to show you what it is to think that you're the boss when you're not, and you depend on this paycheck, even though you have all this money. That it speaks on how much in this world one should be mindful of speaking whatever dumb shit they want to speak of, which is a good thing in a way, because I think that it forces people to understand you have the right to think what you think, you have the right to want to say what you want to say. You just need to choose the space in which you're going to be expressing that. And should you have a voice that actually is loud and is listened to by a lot of people, you got to be aware that there's going to be consequences to anything that you say that can be, even if it is positive stuff. And in this case, there's nothing positive about what he said, even though there was some truth, yes, indeed. But, it still doesn't hold up next to, unfortunately, the things that have been said. And yes, it may open way for new conversations, and indeed, well, this whole contract conversation and artists and athletes and this and that being taken advantage of, this and that and the other. But that's always been the business. It's like, for example, like I see a lot of up and coming artists, for example. And I'm not saying that it's right. I'm just saying that it's just life. Life is not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be easy, because if it is easy, you're gonna get lazy. And if you're gonna get lazy, and you indeed get lazy, you will not make it easier neither. You know what I mean? You gotta understand that struggle, pressure, resistance really shapes your character, really shapes your capacity to overcome and overthrow whatever challenge you have be presented to you. And I know that it is not easy. It's not comfortable. And unfortunately, a lot of artists, people within the artistic world, don't want to suffer. They don't want to deal with the pain, so they're going to have like manager this, manager that, and they're going to surround themselves a lot of the time by and with people that don't necessarily know the business. And if they know the business, some of these artists are still up and coming, so too small to be actually making demands. And the truth of the matter is that, look, if you just arrived now and you expect things to be laid down for you and laid out for you in a way that you have access to everything right away, when we had to suffer to get where we are, like, dude, it doesn't work like that. Not that you need to suffer necessarily, absolutely, because, well, if we suffer, you gotta suffer too. But dude, you gotta own your talent, but also earn the right to actually get what it is that you want to get. And I'm not saying that, well, somebody's going to grant you that right, but in a lot of the time, you're dealing with gatekeepers, and some of those gates you're going to have to break, or you're going to have to show that you're worthy of entering these doors because you've paid your dues, you've worked, you've hustled, you've learned through your mistakes, and you've grown, you've evolved, you've matured, etc. There's so many things that come into play. And so indeed, there's a new generation. There's a generation that wants it easy, that wants it, presented on a platter, golden platter with the spoons and everything. And anything less does not serve your kingness or your queenness or your goddessness or whatisness. Is like, the fuck? Like, no nation, no future can be built on the back of people who are not going to be sweating and busting their asses to maintain accountability, values in general. There's so many things that are valuable in life that are called old school. Oh, that's old school. Yeah, you know what? Not everything is to be thrown away. Just like in the new school, not everything needs to be thrown away neither. It's a joint venture that has to be understanding of the realities of both parties that get involved in this collaboration, because it's a dance. It's not even a collaboration, it's an actual dance. And one is going to take the lead, the other is going to follow, and vice versa. And sometimes when the old gets too settled and comfortable, or maybe even just like, just too safe in their position, the youth is going to be like, no, let's try, let's be adventurous, let's embrace that. Let's go. Don't be scared. Let's go. Whatever happens. Yeah, if it doesn't happen, fuck it. Let's keep moving. You need that. You need all of these energies, all of these flows to make this thing move. But then you have a generation of people who are just like, yo, it's cool, and I don't want this or everything. So because I think that I want this, or because Whatever it is that you want, it is what you. That's what you need to have. That's what you want. That's what you're going to get. Well, yes, there's a certain truth to that, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to have to work hard for it. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have to bust your ass for it, because you will have to. Because you see, anything that I've wanted in my life, I've had to work for it. And look, let me tell you something. If everything that you've wanted to get in your life and achieve or whatnot is presented to you on a golden platter with the spoons and everything that comes with it, you are not gonna appreciate it. You know why? Because you've not sweated, cried, and hurt for it. That's what it is. And the truth as well is that if you learn that, well, if you're being honest with yourself, even the moment you get all these things, you're like, huh, okay, cool, okay, I did that. What's next? That's the thing. Because some people decide to plateau themselves the moment they reach like this, that, and the other level that they feel like, well, this is good. Okay, I understand. I know a lot of people like that. Believe it or not, I know a lot of people that are content with this. People with some amazing talents. People that are much more talented than I am, And they're cool like that. They just don't want to do anything more. Because for them, the simple idea that they have to hustle and that they have to, that to succeed means that, or to get on the way to success means that you need to hurt, that you need to be in pain. And the thing is that it's not that you need to be in pain, but there's going to be a level of pain that you must accept to go through in order for you to get to where you want to go. That doesn't mean that you have to look at that pain as the most dreadful thing. When you go to the gym, you understand that you're going to have to be running against something or pushing against something or lifting or pulling, whatever it is that you're doing. It's going to exert a level of resistance to help you build your physique. And as you go through this process, as you build your physique, as you build this body that you want to build for yourself or for the others, whatever, it is also shaping your mind, because now you're learning the importance of persistence, insistence, hard work, and you're seeing that as painful as it is giving you results. And the moment you start seeing the results, the more motivated you are, right? And again, not everybody is like that, and we must accept it. I mean, fighting it really is ridiculous in a way, because it is what it is. It is what it is, and you can't, unfortunately, make people be who you are. You can try to inspire them to be. You can try to give them directions as to what it is, or give them insights as to what it is that you have done in order for you to achieve what you achieved. But what works for me may not work for you. However, me sharing my experience with you may give you insights as to what it is that I've encountered and what it is that I had to do in order for me to get where I am. Therefore, it's a piece of information that you will maintain in your brain if you are indeed willing to, or if you see any value in it, that can allow you to unlock other things that will actually tap with what works for you. But if you don't have conversations, if you don't learn to exert your mind, to be confronted with people that don't share your vision, people that actually believe that you are not going to succeed, people who actually don't even have the same faith as you, that think that, I don't know if I told you a story here, but I met this guy that's a Satanist. Like, for him, his God is Satan. I mean, that's what it is. This thing that we see as that this depiction that we see of the devil, this guy, that's for him, that's his God. You know what? Was I comfortable? I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't. Because I'm just like, yo, shit. But then something in me said, you know what? Okay, who am I to judge his vision of what it is that, he sees as God? If that's his, it's not mine. But doesn't mean that me listening to him is going to contaminate me and make me into all of a sudden a worshiper of the devil. No, it's not. But let me listen to his thing. And I will tell you right now, this was one of the most kindest men I have met. Honestly, had he not told me anything about, and he felt comfortable to tell me and to open up about his, his belief, which is obviously very unconventional and rather dark, if you ask me, because those are, it's just not my vibe. But I still took the time. I said, okay, well, let me listen to you. And yeah, he explained to me, said, this is what I believe. And he explains to me why, there's a depiction of the devil that's this, and the other by the Bible, blah, 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 blah. I said, okay, I get it, and intellectually, I understand what you're saying. And, you're making sense if we look at things from your perspective. Problem is, according to my experience and to what I've seen, these vibrations don't serve any good in my life, therefore, or in anybody's life around me. Therefore, there's no way I can see it being something that I would embrace at any point or any moment. Am I indeed aware that there's darkness in me as much as the darkness in you? We have all this balance, this art. Well, we have this duality of darkness and light in us. We are indeed, a reflection of these energies. And sometimes, life makes us feed one more than the other. And then at a certain point, either you understand the necessity that to understand and acknowledge the presence of the darkness in you, but also to make sure that you got it under enough control so that it doesn't reign your life, it doesn't regiment your interaction with people, it doesn't mess up the great things that you're building. Because again, it is it's okay for you to believe in what you believe. Is it going to change my life? No. Is it adding to my life? It's adding information to my head. Yes. Intellectually, I've been able to listen to you when I thought in my wildest dream that not even in my wildest dream, in my wildest reflections, that if I was to ever meet somebody like that, I would be super defensive. I'll fuck them up. Then I did none of that, because guess what? That man was extremely kind, very polite, extremely selfless, very giving to others, and yet had a completely opposite belief to mine. But we're not talking about just your regular belief. That guy really actually believed that, again, as I said, the devil is, the real deal. And I was like, hey, yo, yeah, I guess it is what it is. Not for me, but okay, cool. Some people would say, how would you even allow such a person to speak to you? This is this is that. But look, man, again, some of us are capable of having these kind of conversations, uncomfortable with people that, makes us feel uncomfortable, that as well sometimes put us in front of ourselves as well. Because guess what? If something makes you really uncomfortable, you got to look at of course, there's obvious reasons as to why it would. But the truth is that if you truly say, and as I said, if you truly are of God, right? If you truly are of that powerful light and energy, I'm not saying that you should put yourself purposefully and be there in front of the darkness and say, okay, come try me. Because obviously that's anything in life, if there's a snake and it bites, it can fuck you up. You gotta be stupid to go and still try to prove a point, because usually you're gonna be proven actually wrong. You're gonna be proven wrong. So, but the thing is that, if you are indeed standing in that light, if you are indeed stable and anchored, none of that should move you and will actually move you. So the bottom line is you need to have a strong basis, and a strong basis is acquired through, you know, the learning process. And this whole learning process is painful, you know, to have to, you know, acquire knowledge, to have to acquire strength, to have to, you know, all of these things are not easy, but you can make them easy by by looking at them, instead of looking at them as a chore, as a hurdle or whatnot. You look at them as something that is empowering, because every time you push through and go beyond the pain and go beyond all of these, you know, thoughts in your mind, those dark thoughts, right, that makes you want to give up. No, it's enough. Yo, you look, your arms are hurting. Like today I went to the gym, right? We did this very hectic series for the biceps, and they were burning. Like when I say burning, I felt the lactic acid in my muscles. It was horrible, but I pushed through. When my mind said, okay, stop now, I added 5 more. Every time it would say stop now, I would add 5 more. Was I like that before? Not necessarily. But again, there's, you know, people think there's a direct line. There's no such thing as a direct line. You're gonna make errors. You're gonna make wins, but you're gonna have more errors than wins, and that's okay, because that's just what life is. At least from my experience, it might not be yours. Again, I'm talking about my experience. So if it offends you, hey, I don't care. I don't give a fuck, because at the end of the day, it's my experience, and my experience shouldn't offend you. If anything, it should open your eyes as to what my experience was, so you can understand me maybe better, and maybe draw inspiration, or not, or say fuck off, you know, that was cool, but whatever, I don't need to hear that. Cool, all good, you know, whatever, that's you. But the bottom line is that we need to understand the necessity of enduring. And also, with all of that, we also must surround ourselves of and with people that truly care for us, that indeed can provide counsel, that can be there for us, to allow us to make sense sometimes of some of these very painful experiences we have in life, you know, or some of the things that are within us that makes us feel a certain way. You need to be able to trust somebody enough to speak on that, to share with you on that, and kind of really dive with you into the depth of those very things that you need to speak of and to speak on, you know what I mean? And yeah, learning to surround yourself with the right friend and the right people is also something very, very, very difficult, you know. My parents always told me that I was very lucky, or they didn't really understand how I made. Obviously, I had a great education. I will give them 100% of the merit for the education I received, because it was a strict education, but it was loving, you know. My dad was not one to be played with. Like he's not the type of guy like you're gonna come in and say some dumb shit to. He's gonna get your ass straight, really straight, with some, like, you ain't gonna do no nonsense next to me. By straight, I'm not talking about sexual orientation. I'm just saying, like, you are not gonna be acting a fool, right? You know, we're not spending all this money in your education. We're not doing all of these things for you to undervalue or to not see the value in what it is that we're doing for your future. And those are very, very important learning processes. You know, and with that being said, I understood that, and I had a pride. I wanted my parents to be proud of the friends that I was bringing home, and I always made sure that, you know, I would bring, you know, friends that were of great education, you know, and it had nothing to do with social background or anything of the kind. No, not at all. As a matter of fact, some of my tightest homies when I was a kid, because I came from a fortunate environment, but to this day, some of our guys, they came from families that were not doing well financially. And with some, was there jealousy? Maybe. Certainly there was, but understandably so. And with the others, there wasn't. And those to these days are still my brothers. Even those who were jealous, we're brothers, but we're not as connected. But yeah, there's respect. I mean, at the end of the day, come on, man. It's normal. Acknowledge people, acknowledge you, acknowledge your environment, accept that. Not everybody's going to be like you. Yes. Oh, I don't understand. I'm such a nice person, and this is what I get for being nice. Exactly. Learn with who you're being nice. That doesn't mean that you need to be a dick with everybody in order to find out if you need to be nice with these people. No. Just learn how much of that niceness you're giving. Because if you give everything every time you meet somebody new, then of course you're going to be taken advantage of. That's what human beings are. And then you have people who know exactly. They know, like you don't need to tell them. You don't need to remind them their position. I'm one of these people because I don't like to be told off. I don't like to be told, oh, you didn't, and I will behave. That's how I was raised. And I hated that feeling, that humiliation, because I felt humiliated every time somebody had to tell me off and remind me of my position. I felt very humiliated. And it's a feeling I freaking dislike to the core. And to this day, I hold myself to high regard, to a high standard. I'm not saying that I'm better, and it's not about being better than anything, but I need to be better than myself. If I feel like this time and these interactions I wasn't necessarily at my best, okay, cool. I'm not gonna beat myself to it for it, but I will change a few things, and I will better my interaction with this or that person the next time I see them, because that was just inappropriate, or it was not really a great depiction of my character. And it happens, and it's okay. It's us being humans. So holding things against people, we can do that, of course, but you must understand what people's sufferance is. Because if you are indeed truly, oh my God, everybody loves, I'm an empath. If you truly are an empath, because a lot of these people think I'm an empath, but I got to protect my energy at all costs. The thing is that you're protecting yourself from what? Well, these negative vibes and all these bad spirits. Like, do you realize that you have your own before you talk about other people potentially, polluting you with this, that, and the other? Because it's easy to say it's them. It's harder to say it's you. Because indeed, it's our own behavior sometimes. It's our own projections. It's all of these things that sometimes can create the very demon we think that others bring to our lives. But you got to be honest with yourself. You got to be willing to dig deep inside of you and look at yourself. Because when you're alone, there's nobody around you. Who are you lying to? And again, so many layers to that concept could go into this conversation, but some of your wildest, most deepest secrets in life are between you and your life, are between you, yourself, and you. Nobody knows about them. Nobody knows about your deepest, most hidden secret besides you, right? Who are you lying to then? If you know who you are and you're not comfortable with the true you, and again, by that, let me be clear. If you are an assassin, if you're somebody who's a serial killer and you're repressing these emotions, yeah, I think that's a wise thing to fucking do. And you should consult somebody that, and I'm not laughing at it, it's a serious topic. You should consult somebody to get yourself some help, for sure. Because I'm not saying this to say, well, you should truly embrace that. Obviously not. Even though, unfortunately, some people just decide to live in their truth to that core, where it's like, well, I want to be as deviant as possible, and because that's who I am, and I can't do anything about it. By saying being true to yourself doesn't mean that you got to be true to your dumb shit. But you got to acknowledge your biases. You got to acknowledge all of these dark spots, dark rooms inside of you, and not be scared of them, and understand that, yeah, it's there and it doesn't control you. Okay, it's easier for me to say than because, but than I may imagine, but what tells you I haven't done that work for myself? It's again, it's not an easy, and again, I'm speaking like this and I know how difficult it is, but Rivera saying they will come at you before you fall asleep. Oh yeah, they'll come at you in the most unexpected time as well, because not just when you fall asleep, they'll come at you when you expect them the least. They'll come at you in moments and at times where you're just like, oh God, exactly. But find that God in you, find that greatness in you, understand that you're not necessarily what, the people that try to bring down your character, that bring down your spirit because they're scared of, your love and your generosity and all of that. Don't let them win. Don't let them win, because you being kind doesn't mean that you're weak. You being good doesn't mean that you're a little bitch or this or that. No, it doesn't mean none of that. As a matter of fact, it is a testament to your commitment to you being truly you and honoring the gift that has been given to you. And whatever that gift is for you, then truly manifest it. And I know now what I'm saying might sound a little bit abstract. You might not exactly know what to apply it to for some of you. But, if you have any doubts, keep thinking about it. Keep looking back at this video and what I just said. There's never just one layer of understanding an actual conversation or words that are being spoken, because only you know which degree of layers it is touching inside of you. It can be surface, it can be super deep, it can be whatever, or it cannot just touch you at all, which is also cool. I take a lot of my time to think, to analyze things. I don't have the answers, obviously, but I have some answers for me. For example, when I was a kid, I wasn't good at math. Wasn't. Well, I was, but then I had a teacher that discouraged me a lot from mathematics. But I always admired numbers. I have the utmost respect for mathematics and numbers and complex equations and all of these things. It's something that I don't know how to explain. It's almost like my subconscious, my spirit, it understands it, but my conscious mind doesn't. Like it's just weird. But something in my soul understands it. And God knows I wanted to be a mathematician, and all of these things. But no, I had, I don't know if it's dyslexia for numbers, but anyways, I have a thing with numbers where, as grown as you see me, sometimes I still have to count on my fingers. Why? Because we didn't necessarily acknowledge, like sometimes I'll see numbers, but I'll see them in, like, it's very strange, maybe it's stress, whatever it is. But it is what it is. Is it something that's easy to confess? Not necessarily, but since I don't care what you're going to do about it, because I know that I function well and I know that I understand numbers. I just understand them in my own way, and I need my own practice and I need my own sequencing to be put in place in order for me to grasp certain equations. Right? And that's it. That doesn't make me less or more than you or anyone. But the thing is that you just got to acknowledge who you are, your limits, your strength, And trust is built with time, but also through challenges and through, exerting a certain level of pressure, and that exerting of pressure can come from life. It usually does come from life, or progress, because progress is pressure. Because in order for something to move forward, it needs movement, and you being static and stuck is not helping. So it will hurt, and you will keep bumping your head onto the very things that you despise the most, that you feel the most negative towards, until you master your emotions in front of a given situation. Therapy helps. Speaking to people of trust helps. Definitely people with the level of intelligence that is required to have a very constructive conversation with you, and not just some dumb and unwise folks who unfortunately don't want to see you do good, and therefore maintain you on the level of certain frequencies that don't serve your greater, your plan, and your best manifestation possible. And so on top of that, you've got to learn on your own how to be able to dissect what is good for you from what is not. How to understand the multi-layered and very complex conversations and equations of life. Because that's what it is. Life is just a bunch of equations we have to solve. Different levels of difficulties, but it is what it is. But there's a formula to it, and there's a very specific way to get to the results you need to get to in order to see a much positive conclusion of the situation. Even if it's negative, you've learned something from it. You've learned that, okay, next time, when a problem like this arises, that's how I need to address it. So you never really lose. Well, you might, but do you really? It's all a question of optics as well, and values. If you have strong values that holds you deeply rooted in your center, it will allow you to go places without losing yourself. Because what do they say? When you potentially feel like you're losing yourself, what you need to do is take a moment and look where you come from. Flower. Yes, merci d'être connecté. You need to look back and see where you come from, so that you can move with a better purpose and a realigned vision. Because as you visioned your future when you were at that point of start, it's not always how that future is looking, at least right now. But the truth is that everything that you're doing is taking you to that future. It's just that the journeys and the routes you're taking are not those you thought you would be taking. And sometimes you think once it's one route that took you completely left, and even backwards sometimes, you feel like it's taking you away for the rest of your life from your actual goal and purpose. But what it is doing is preparing you better. You're being prepared. Life is, the universe is very, very beautifully organized. I mean, as they say, God is amazing. Allah is amazing. You understand? Jehovah, or Orula, Orumila, whatever you want to call the divine creation, the divine creator. Whether you you believe in a creator or not. But the simple fact that you believe that you can create and you can accomplish and you can move things forward and you can attain certain objectives and goals, that's divine, man. You cannot deny that. That's divine. You are made in its reflection. You are indeed divine by creation. You know? The problem is that you can't really let some of these constructs and some of these ideas makes you think that you're greater than the creator, that you're greater than the divine, that you're greater than the plan. You're not. Your plan, and sometimes you can outgrow a vision. That's normal as well. And then when that's the case, you need to address the situation and move according to something that is gonna challenge you enough to, again, push you to the next level of your capacity, of your potential accomplishment. You know, and honestly, it is difficult. But the thing is that, you know what? Even if you don't want to move, even if you don't want to go forward, and even if you don't want to suffer, the simple act of not willing to suffer is suffering itself. And looking at things from the optics of pain is not the most creative approach to the quality of life that you want to see manifested in your existence, for those you love, for yourself, etc. Those are gifts. And I know it sounds extremely fucked up for some really, really hectic experiences in life, such as, losing a family member, definitely that, losing a job, losing, your livelihood. I mean, go explain that to somebody that's on the streets, consuming drugs, to make them forget about their problems, so they might think living literally on the floor with, the rats, etc., and surviving, not even living, surviving. Go to have that kind of motivational talk with them, when everything about the society existence despises your very existence, actually don't even acknowledge you as being a human being. Or you don't even have to go to the extreme. How about the people that you walk past through as you go from one place to another? How about these people? Do you acknowledge their humanity? Do they look valuable to you? Do they look important to you? I'm pretty sure a lot of the time, because we are all guarded and we are all in a slightly defense offense kind of move where, we're always ready for anything. A lot of the time, people we may look at as being what we think them to be happens to be the complete opposite. If only we would take the moment. And I say this, and I'm a guy that doesn't necessarily smile when I walk, but I will look you in the eye, and the way I would look at you will be tender. There's going to be tenderness in my eyes, because I'm not here to threaten you, but I am not also here to just like open my mouth and laugh at everything and just like, already, no. I am not that kind of guy, but I am also not a person that will look at you in a threatening way, because that's just not who I am. I care and I respect people. From the tiniest looking person, dude, the most frail, to the biggest. Because again, I don't really care about your size, but I care about what's inside you. And I don't know your life, and I don't know your existence, and I don't know your pains. So I cannot judge that. So I need to take care of I need to make sure that I I'm careful in as to how I'm going to be sending you energy, because as you look at somebody, you're sending them energy. It can be good or bad, you know. And sometimes it's bad because of your own fear, of your own constructions and preconceived ideas of this kind of people that are looking this or that way. And you might be right, but yet again, you know, they have the right to be where they are, and you have the right to be where you are as well, and you know, move on. You know, la milliardaire. Ah oui, on est toujours là, le général toujours en place. Oui, on accepte. So, yeah, freedom of speech is great, and you know, we should feel free to, you know, we should feel free to speak, but there's a limit to this freedom. And the moment we understand that there's a limit and there's a necessity for that limit, because it allows us to respect a certain boundaries and not take ourselves so seriously that we might think that everything we say is the most amazing thing that comes out of our mouth. You know, it will allow you to think twice before you speak and be sensible. And sometimes, yeah, you're right, you know, it's not easy to be. Sometimes you just want to, sometimes you're so angry that you just want to drop it. And fuck if it hurts your feelings. I get you, I understand that. That's exactly what Kanye did. Some people hurt him, indeed ridiculed him, made fun of him. I mean, I'm pretty sure it must be very hard to feel like you're a normal person and that you're in this, and that you know, you just want good, but then people just, you know, treat you otherwise. Problem is that you're not realizing that this is also your own doing. And this is where the issue resides as well in a lot of cases, like when people cannot see themselves for who they are and for the own shit that they bring upon themselves by acting certain ways. So yeah, I mean, look, you know, before you speak your truth to somebody, try to speak it to yourself first and foremost. And if it makes sense to you and you've owned it and you can elaborate on it in a very intelligent way, then okay, you can probably, you know, try to see how receptive people might be. And for sure, achieving that is requiring quite a lot of time of practice. And this practice is called life, you know, and mindfulness of yourself and of others. I think it's important to really be caring and mindful of others. Not to a fault, but again, there's nothing wrong in being kind to people. There's nothing weak about kindness. Nothing. You can still be the toughest guy, and I've seen quite a few of them. They're the kindest man and woman, as a matter of fact. But I'm talking like super kind people, but tough as it gets. I mean, a couple of my friends, I want to see if they would be down. I don't think they would, because they're like super secret guys. They're you know, ex-special force for different armies around the world, and they're guys who have like medals of honors, and yeah, you know, some of them feel like, you know, a lot of them don't even feel like there was anything honorable. I mean, they did their job, and you know, whatever. I'm not saying that they're, you know, they're not proud of serving their countries, this and the other, but you know, yeah, you got to live with your shit too. And those are some of the realest people you might meet, and some of the toughest people I've met, honestly, but the kindest, man. You know, you'll see, I think a lot of the time, a lot of tough and strong people have very soft hearts. They just don't open up to everybody because they've learned that it hurts when you do. And only those who deserve and are worthy of it will get to see that side of them. and it's not to be betrayed. It is not to be betrayed. And yes, in that sense, yes, there's a strong sense of danger in there, because they're not going to kill you, obviously, but hurting people who are showing nothing but kindness, they don't have any interest besides just calling you a friend and treating you as such, and they are there for you and with you through good and bad times. The biggest payback for that is loyalty and kindness and care. And there's so many forms of that, because sometimes by mistreating somebody, you might lead that person to feel like your kind and who you are and what you represent, your gender, your this and that, well, that's who they are. I hear that a lot about, in Africa, about a lot of our own people. Oh, these people are lazy, these, that. And we say that about our own people. And it might be true to some extent. But those we're referring to, who are they? Are they those people that wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning in the village or in the city, or go from the village going to the city to try to sell their wood, or, any of the goods they might have that they might not even sell, or they might have to sell at a much lower price than they should have been getting because of some greedy tourists who just think that they're being screwed over when the ladies asking them to pay something $25 and they're making that woman sell it for 15 or 10. Yeah, I wouldn't call these people lazy. And the truth is that I would understand why somebody like that would develop anger and resentment with time. Anyways, these are deep conversations, multi-layered, not just on small things that can be addressed in 1 hour, 1 hour 20, whatever. But my point is, as much as I can disagree with somebody, as much as I may highly negative I could feel towards some people, I pride myself in one thing. I still have the intelligence for me, not talking about anyone else, to be ready to have a conversation with these very people, whomever they might be, no matter what my bias towards them might be. Put that aside and have just a intelligent conversation and see how far this conversation can go, and in the end, see maybe how connected we might be, and better yet, how many points of convergence we might have. If you're actually being honest with yourself, you might see a lot more than you might imagine. And that alone is very, very, very disturbing, because you don't want to have nothing that looks like what your enemy is. But the truth is that it's all optics, it's also choices, it's also true, decision that one takes for themselves and their lives that puts them where they are. And one side that puts them on one side of the fence and you on the other. But in the end, we're all humans trying to make sense of of this thing we call life. And not all of us have the keys to those multitude of doors and layers that require life to learn about. So let's be indulgent, but also let's not allow bullshit to prevail. Call it out, be intelligent with your speech, elaborate, and you might be a little bit contemptuous, condemning, whatever, but still be open to you could also be proven wrong. Anyways, it's all about being open, respecting others, and understanding that, despite all our differences, you know, we all have different paths. We all serve different purposes. And, this is what makes the world go forward. On this words, family, apologize again for the 6 minutes of silence and just music when I was just talking, thinking that you guys were hearing me. But, these things happen. And receive my gratitude for the continued support of this show. I am indeed tired today. I'm going to get some sleep right after, a little bit after the show today. I still got a little bit of work to do. And then I'm going to hit the bed because, it's 11:26 here at night. But you have a beautiful rest of your week, fam, And I hope any of the things I said resonated with you, and it can open some interesting and spark some interesting conversations that we may continue to have, inshallah, on the next episode of Monday Quality Talks. This was MQT55. We're getting there, getting those numbers higher. Gratitude for La Milliardaire, Fleur, Rivera RV, Emery Agnon, DPN OSPS, Lorraine, Raf Peck, Eunice Good, and everyone else who will be watching the show as a replay. You can always make donations for this show, even if you watch the replay. It is most appreciated to support this channel. It's important. Via Super Chat, Super Stickers, or, via PayPal or Binance, through cryptos. You have it all there, And if you cannot do any of that, I'm sure you can go and stream my music and show some love via that as well. So with that being said, or you can just share these videos. That's always good as well. Let's spread the word. Have a beautiful week, family. And I shall see you next Monday. Peace.